The Mount to Coast H1s are a hybrid road to trail running shoe by fairly newish company Mount to Coast, who exploded onto the running shoe scene in 2024 with a focus on simplicity and designing shoes to power runs for long distance runners. I'm Craig, this is Running Cafe, and in this video I'll be checking out and reviewing the H1s by Mount to Coast. Quick disclaimer, Mount to Coast sent me these shoes for the purposes of reviewing them. However, they are not influencing anything I say in this video. And after having watched the video, if you decide you want to check out the H1s for yourself, if you use the code Craig10 at the Mount to Coast checkout, you can get 10% off of the H1s or any other shoe in the Mount to Coast range. It won't cost you any extra and it will help the channel out, and any support is greatly appreciated. This is the third shoe review in my Mount to Coast review series, with the first being the Mount to Coast R1, the road shoe, and the second being the Mount to Coast T1, the trail shoe. Videos reviewing those shoes will be linked in the description below. Without further ado, let's review the H1s. In terms of the presentation, you get the H1 in a classic box, and inside you have a few things in addition to the shoes themselves, including a little card outlining some of the proprietary technology and the features that have gone into designing the shoe, and you get a cool poster which highlights some of the features of the shoe and also tells a little story about an ultra runner who won a year's supply of free burritos after running 730 miles outside of an Arizona restaurant, 600 of which were using the H1 shoe. Just a nice little touch to add to the presentation. In terms of the shoe's look, I really like the simplistic, minimalistic, sleek design of this shoe. It's really simple, it's really subtle, and it's just really nice and easy on the eye. In fact, I think this may be my favorite design for a Mount to Coast shoe. It's available in a few color cutaways to match your preferences. And again, like the T1 and the R1, I just like this retro, classic, almost traditional kind of running shoe design. It gives me 80s vibes. I really like it. And I would definitely wear this shoe out and about, just to walk around and even on social occasions. Moving on to the shoe stats, this can be considered a fairly lightweight shoe, clocking in at just 242 grams for a US size 9 or a UK size 8 male. This translates to feeling light, free and easy to maneuver with them on whilst you're out and about on your runs, and I can certainly attest to that feeling myself. For the stack height, 35mm in the heel and 29mm in the forefoot, giving a 6mm heel to toe drop. And this fairly low drop encourages that mid to forefoot strike, which promotes stability, which is so important for running on trails. And the high stack height gives you cushioning and support, really important for when you're on long runs, as us long distance ultra runners often are. For the upper, they've gone with a jacquard fabric pattern at the top, and below this they've got DuPont Kevlar fibers, which are 5 times stronger than steel, yet they are fairly flexible. The feeling I get running these shoes is that they're breathable, yet they do feel slightly stiff, which is so important for getting that comfort whilst feeling supported and stable, especially when transitioning from the road to the trail. And to highlight this breathability, you can actually see your finger if you just stick it into the shoe itself. So it's certainly strong, durable, though it is flexible, and there are perforations in it to promote that breathability so your feet don't feel like they're suffocating on a run. For the lacing system, the tuned fit dual lacing system features laces in the forefoot and a pull cord in the midfoot, so you can actually adjust this shoe in 2 positions to enable you to customize your fit, adjust it on the fly so that you can feel comfortable regardless of whether your feet are swelling during a long run or if you need them particularly tighter during a difficult trail section. Personally, I haven't really touched the pull cord on this shoe. I just use the laces and I find that that works for me just fine, though I'd encourage anyone to play around with it and see what works for you. Moving on to the midsole of the shoe, and a key feature, Mount to Coast have designed their new Circle Cell technology, which is made from up to 20 pounds or 9 kilograms of recycled organic waste per pair. It's gone through their critical foaming, nitrogen infusing process, and as a result, they've got this unique compound, which they're saying provides similar energy returns and performance to PEBA compounds, whilst also also lasting almost 2 times as long in terms of the shoe's lifespan. These are pretty bold claims to be making, and I've got to say that when I actually use this shoe, it certainly feels comfortable, bouncy, responsive. I definitely feel that so far in my 50 or so miles having used them, it hasn't lost any of that initial bounce. And a major standout point for this shoe is just how comfortable it feels on the feet for long distance training runs. So a nice touch in terms of that eco-friendly, sustainable element there, whilst also ensuring a decent performing midsole of the shoe. In terms of the outsole of the shoe, Mount Coast have designed and introduced their proprietary Versa Grip outsole. This features 2mm traction M-shaped lugs at the bottom, and when I first saw them, I was really skeptical as to whether or not they would hold up in trail conditions, though for the most part they hold up really well, given that the trail you're running on is pretty compact or it's dry. I have gone out in these in pretty wet, muddy conditions, and as expected, I was slipping all over the place in no time. That's absolutely fine. That's not what these shoes are for, running in the mud like that. I would comfortably use these in road, gravel to trail settings in summer or dry conditions, and I would feel confident pretty much regardless of what the terrain threw in front of me. However, if it was rainy, if it was muddy and wet, then I probably would just opt for some more versatile trail shoes like the Hoka Speed 6s or the Mount Coast T1s. But for dry conditions, the outsole on these shoes hold up surprisingly well despite having only 2mm of lugs. They feel comfortable and not overbearing on the road, and when you transition onto the trail, you can see why they're absolutely necessary for this shoe, and I feel really comfortable making that transition, and it does feel pretty seamless. Moving on to fit and sizing, these are true to size, though if you have wide feet like myself, I would highly recommend going a size up. I am a size 8 usually, but thanks to my wide feet, I decided to go for a size 9 with these shoes, and they fit absolutely perfectly. Really comfortable, really snug. There's enough room and give in the toe box at the end of the shoe, and the shoe feels comfortable in a variety of terrains and environments during training. In terms of the price of this shoe, it's what I would call the middle of the market, £150 in the UK or $160 in the US, though the added focus on that eco-friendly, recycled organic waste material to make the midsole can add extra value for those who appreciate environmentally friendly features in their purchases. Overall, I think the Mount Coast H1 is a decent entry into the increasingly popular gravel road to trail shoe category. It's lightweight, it looks great, it feels comfortable, and it's kitted out with tons of features to help runners who run on a mix of terrains get the best out of their training. I think these are best for daily training on roads, gravel paths and trails, and also I would feel comfortable using them in a race. So overall, a great all-rounder shoe to use in a range of environments and terrains, mainly in dry conditions in my opinion. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps the channel out tremendously and your support is really appreciated. I've been Craig, this is Running Cafe, and I'll see you again in the next one.